The Domix 45A is composed of the following parts: 2 groups of chromium-plated connection fittings, each of them composed of a ball gate valve, a red one at the left-hand side for warm water and a black one at the right-hand side for cold water, a double stainless steel mesh filters and a no-return valve. The machine container is made of stainless steel or plastic, which consists of a box and a cover. On the cover there is a membrane keyboard with 3 digital displays. The one at the top shows the quantity of water to be discharged. The one in the middle shows the temperature at the internal probe, and the one at the bottom shows the temperature at the external probe. Also to be found on the cover is the group of LEDs showing the machine's status like manual function, operation with the programs, the discharge to the bypass, and the delivery to the mixer. Finally, there is to be found the group of keys and the temperature regulating knob with a graduated scale. On the outside of the box there is the bypass outlet, the delivery outlet, the power plug and the pump command plug. Both of these have a protection fuse situated inside the adjacent lid with extractable slide. On the left side there is the external probe with a spiral 5mm cable. Installation of the machine. Attach the machine to the wall using the 4 hangers positioned on the bottom of the box. Connect the water pipes, making sure the entrance of the colder water is always on the right, whilst that of the warmer water is always on the left. Join the discharge pipes of the bypass and the delivery outlets and tighten. By means of the power socket provided, connect the electrical supply to the power plug on the right and the remote pump command to the relevant plug on the left, as indicated on the labels positioned under the cover. Manual operation. If the manual pilot LED lights up when the machine is turned on, this means that the manual operation is taking place. If instead the program pilot LED lights up, that means the operation with programs is taking place. To pass to manual function, press P00. During the manual operation, by pressing the quantity temperature key, the decimal point of the upper display begins flashing and the desired quantity can be programmed. Pressing again the quantity temperature key, the decimal point of the central display begins flashing and the desired temperature can be programmed. After some seconds, the writing P00 disappears on the lower display and the temperature of the external probe reappears. Meanwhile, the programmed temperature remains visible in the central display. At this point, the start can be given for the water delivery. To set the desired temperature, simply regulate the knob, referring to the graduated scale, and control the actual value on the central display. On the Domix 45A, if the bypass has been set in time mode, once the set time has elapsed, the bypass closes and the delivery begins. If the bypass has been set in temperature mode, once the temperature program has been reached, the bypass closes and the delivery begins. On the Domix 45, the temperature search is carried out by controlling the bypass manually before the delivery. The temperature programmed on the display is only a help for the operator and is not indispensable. During the delivery, the run indicator lights up. If for some reason, with the bypass set in temperature mode, the temperature then goes out of the range programmed in the installer parameters, the delivery stops and the bypass indicator switches on until the temperature returns again within the allowed range. Eventually, adjust the temperature with the knob. At any moment, the delivery can be interrupted by pushing stop, and the remaining quantity appears on the upper display. Operation with recipes. To insert a recipe and to operate the machine in mode with programs, press key P. At this point, the lower display begins flashing, and with the keyboard, a program or recipe number from 1 to 80 can be set. By pressing the quantity temperature key, the decimal point of the upper display begins flashing, and the desired quantity can be programmed. Pressing again the quantity temperature key, the decimal point of the central display begins flashing, and the desired temperature can be set. At this point, the recipe is memorized, and the start can be given to start the delivery. If instead no key is pressed, after some seconds, the writing with the number of the program disappears from the lower display, and the temperature of the external probe reappears. When the machine is still, the desired recipe can be recalled by pressing P and the relevant number associated. Operation of free recipe. By pressing P99, one enters into the free recipe program. The writing free appears on the upper display. The desired temperature can be set on the central display. At this point, by pressing start, the machine begins to deliver at the programmed temperature, without, however, controlling the dosage. To stop the delivery, press stop. To open the machine, switch off the power supply. Unscrew the 3 grub screws on the knob and then extract the knob. Take off the 4 or 6 screws at the front and turn the cover. On the inside of the hydraulics box, the following parts can be found: the mixing unit, the litre counter and the electro valves assembly, with the fitting for the internal probe. The electro valve assembly has 2 valves and coils, in the case of the Domix 45A, and 1 with regard to the Domix 45. On the back of the cover, there is the aluminium protection with the logic board on the inside and the scheme of connections on the outside. In addition, there is also the terminal block, the power board and the anti-drop protection for the power board. Unreachable temperature error. If during a delivery the machine remains in bypass for a long period and the temperature programmed cannot be reached despite moving the regulation knob, temp not cor appears on the display and the delivery stops with the buzzer sound. Press stop twice to block the alarm. Solution control inlets. The first thing to check is the temperatures of the inlet waters. That is to say that at the inlet of the colder water, the temperature of the water coming from the chiller or from the city network is lower than the requested value, and that at the inlet of the warmer water, the temperature of the water coming from the boiler or from the city network is higher than the requested value, maximum 60 degrees centigrade or 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Furthermore, verify that the ratio between the pressures at the two inlets is at minimum 1:1 and at maximum 1:5. To carry out the control, bring the knob first to the maximum cold end of stroke and then to the maximum hot end of stroke and read the relevant temperatures on the display. If the temperatures and the pressures at the inlets are correct, but it is not possible to regulate the temperature, replace the thermostatic element. Close the water inlet ball gates and release the pressure by pressing start and, after few seconds, stop. Switch off the supply to the machine. Open the machine, unscrew the black pin of the knob, take off the grey plastic fastening ring with a small screwdriver, and after that, with a spanner number 25, turn the thermostatic element anti-clockwise and unscrew it from its valve seat. Using the black knob pin, it is possible to open and close the sensitive element to check that in the closing areas no impurities have been deposited. Furthermore, check the internal of the mixer casing where the other end of stroke of the thermostatic element is. To reassemble the thermostatic element, screw clockwise the element into the casing using the black knob extension lead until the screwing is nearly complete, but without using too much force. Unscrew the black knob pin and tighten the thermostatic element with the spanner. Assemble the grey plastic ring, taking great care to place the indicator in relief in the image at 6 o'clock. That is to say, facing down at the centre. Screw the black knob pin on its seat, taking great care that the red indicator is at 12 o'clock position. Open the two inlet ball gate valves and press the start key. With the red sign on the knob pin in the 12 o'clock position, the temperature at delivery must be 32.5 degrees centigrade or 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Litre counter error. During the delivery, the countdown on the upper display stops, even with the run LED being lighted, and after some seconds, the machine goes into alarm and the writing R.L appears on the display. Solutions. The causes for this fault could be many. The possible solutions to be adopted will be analysed. Check that the inlet ball gate valves are open. Check that at the inlets the pressures are sufficient. That means above 1 bar. Check that the filters are clean. Check that the electromagnetic valve clicks at the start. If all these conditions are in order, the cause is probably the litre counter. To check the filters, or to carry out their cleaning, operate in the following way. Close the inlet ball gate valves and release the pressure. Switch off the supply to the machine. Unscrew with a spanner number 15 the filter cap. Remove the internal stainless steel double mesh filtering element. Clean, if necessary, the indicated zone with water or compressed air. If eventual limestone incrustations are persistent, it is possible to clean the filter with anti-limestone acids for stainless steel. Assemble as shown. Replacement of litre counter. Close the inlet ball gate valves and release the pressure. Switch off the supply to the machine. Separate the litre counter wires from the cable of the probe. Unscrew terminals 1 and 2 as shown. With a spanner number 30, unscrew the nuts. Remove the litre counter and the 2 washers attached. To reassemble the new litre counter, pay much attention to the direction of the arrow on the body of the litre counter. This indicates the direction of the flow, and it must be pointing towards the right. Replacement of electro valve coils. Disassembling and cleaning of valves. Sometimes it can happen that the machine delivers more than the desired quantity. If it happens, at the end of the delivery, with the litres stationary on the display, the machine still continues to deliver for a certain time lapse. The cause could be the electromagnetic valve. To remove the coils, proceed as shown. Close the inlet ball gate valves and release the pressure. Switch off the supply to the machine. Unscrew the yellow stopper by hand. With a small screwdriver, remove the black plastic fastening rings. Disconnect the fastons and extract the coils. Unscrew the 4 socket head screws with an Allen wrench number 3. Remove the upper part, proceeding as shown, taking care to avoid losing the pin and the spring on the inside of the stem. Remove the black rubber membrane and check that the opening indicated is free from impurities. Furthermore, check that the indicated valve seats are clean. Absolutely do not intervene with fats or other substances in order to improve performance. On the contrary, such action makes the operation worse. If the machine has been used for a long period of time, it is advisable to substitute all the internal elements with new pieces supplied in the relevant kit. Voltage failure. If the writing tens phi appears on the display, this means there has been an interruption to the power supply of the machine. In this case, if the machine was delivering by pressing stop just once, it is possible to see on the display the quantity of water discharged. By pressing start, it is possible to complete the batch. Internal probe error. If a fault appears, as in the image, with the message appearing only on the central display, this means that the internal temperature probe is broken or badly connected. Replacement of internal probe. Close the inlet ball gate valves and release the pressure. Switch off the supply to the machine. Unscrew terminals 3 and 4 as shown. Unscrew with spanner number 15 the tightening nut of the probe and extract the probe. assemble the replacement probe, paying great attention to the O-ring. External probe error. If a fault of this nature appears, showing the message appearing only on the lower display, this means that the external temperature probe is broken or badly connected. Replacement of external probe. Switch off the supply to the machine. Unscrew terminals 5 and 6 as shown. Unscrew the cable clamping and extract the probe cable. Replacement of power board. In some cases, it can be necessary to replace the power board of the Domix. For example, the anti-spark capacitor is broken, the transformer is broken, the relay for the command of the pump or the electromagnetic valve is broken. To replace the board, switch off the supply to the machine and unscrew the fastening nuts from the protection of power board. Disconnect the wires from the coils. Remove the earth screw. Disconnect the litre counter and the probes. Remove the terminal block. Unscrew the power board fastening screws from the cover. Extract the board. Cover disassembly. If the faults cannot be identified on the parts hitherto analysed, for example, the machine doesn't switch on despite the fact that the fuses and the power board have been replaced, or if some segment on the displays doesn't turn on, or if there continue to be failures with a probe despite the fact that they have been replaced, this means that the whole cover must be replaced. With the power board disassembled, remove the external probe. Disconnect the earth wire. Unscrew the fastening screws from the hinges and remove the cover. Setting of the installer parameters. To enter into the installer parameters, push simultaneously the keys 1 and 9 for at least 10 seconds. Tast-ins. The first display serves to check the correct function of the keyboard. By pressing the various keys, one can check that the keys are working, and on the central display will appear the relevant symbol. By pressing P twice, one passes on to the following display parameter. From this point on, to pass to the following display, it is sufficient to press the key P just once. To carry out the choice of the various options, use keys 1, 2 and 3. LBON degrees F. This display is for the choice of the desired measuring units. By pressing 1, the machine operates in litres and centigrades. By pressing 2, the machine operates in pounds and Fahrenheit. By pressing 3, the machine operates in pounds, ounces and Fahrenheit. Type BYP. This display is for the choice of the control on the bypass, by temperature or by time. By pressing 1, one chooses the control by temperature. By pressing 2, one chooses the control by time. BYP TOL. This display appears if in the previous option the temperature control for the bypass has been chosen. The tolerance of the intervention of the bypass is given in degrees. the set degrees will be referred to the unit of measure selected before. If instead of temperature, time control is chosen, the display will be BYP SEC and the length of time is shown in seconds. Total beep. Counter of used water expressed in cubic meters. If yes is chosen in this display, the counter will keep count also of the water discharged to the bypass. If instead no is chosen, it will keep count only of the water discharged to the mixer. ELV run. In this display, it is possible to check independently the main electro valve and the bypass electro valve with keys 1 and 2. Choose the desired valve and by pressing start it opens. Pushing stop it closes. (0000) det. On this display, it is possible to carry out the flow delivery test. By pushing start on the upper display, appears the instantaneous flow value, expressed in litres per minute. This value depends from the pressures at the machine inlets and must be at least 18 with pipe pressures of 1.5 bar. If the flow is lower, there could be some obstructions. For example, dirt in the filters. On the lower display, the temperature of the discharge can be seen. 0100 ist, 025 cis. The two following displays are useful in the case that an electronic adjustment of the litre counter is requested, a procedure that we'll see now. If there is an error in the dosing, and if it has been established that this is not due to the electro valves, and it isn't higher than 10%, such an error can be corrected by electronic means. The correction is carried out by entering into the installer parameters as previously described, until the display shown here is reached. By pushing start, the machine discharges 1 litre. Once the dosing is completed, the sign 0.00 flashes on the central display. Weigh with a high precision, high resolution scale the actual discharged quantity and input this value into the machine. The measuring unit is always litres with tenths and hundredths, and the value must be included in a range from 0.50 to 1.50. Push P to memorise and to pass to the following display. Pressing start, the machine discharges the programmed litres, which are preset at 25, but the quantity can also be changed. Once the dosing is completed, the sign 00.0 flashes on the central display. Weigh with a scale the actual discharged quantity and input this value into the machine. The measure is always in litres, and the value cannot be shifted by more than 10% of the set quantity. For example, if the litres set were 25, it is possible to have a value from 22.5 to 27.5. Outside this range, the litre counter must be replaced. Press P to return to the normal state of the machine. Setting the configurating parameters. To enter into the configuration parameters, press simultaneously the keys 3 and dot. With the key P, you pass to the following display parameter. To carry out the choice of the different options, use the keys 1, 2 and 3. Type Ser. In this display, the configuration of the machine appears. The present series must show D45. If for some reason D40 appears, change it to D45. Type D45 DOM. This display defines the type of machine. DOM means doser mixer, and DOS is only doser. Default DOM. Type DOM man or out. This display is for setting the electronics for Domix 45 man or Domix 45A OUT, with reference to the type of bypass. Manual valve for the first option, selected by pushing 1. Automatic valve for the second one, selected by pressing 2. Com est no rem. In this screen, one can set if the machine has or not the external command or the serial command. In the base model, without external command, like the present one, use option 1. In the model equipped with remote start-stop commands, use option 2. In the model equipped with RS422 serial interface, option 3 must be selected.